Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Tom.
Ooh, it's our food unit. So we get to spend the entire time talking about food, which is one of my favorite things, actually. I was telling Tom just a few minutes ago that I like to order on Food Panda and Uber Eats and these food delivery services, these apps.
You've done that before,
Oh, absolutely. I'm a big customer. But one of the restaurants I've noticed as I, kind of scroll through the menus is one that offers these Cuban sandwiches, or as they call them in Spanish, cubano. I've never tried them, but they look really delicious. So I think after we finish this particular unit, I might have to go and order one tonight.
Indeed. But like they say, when you go shopping at a supermarket, you're not supposed to go in there hungry.
True.
So because today we're talking about food, I made sure I ate a meal so that I wouldn't run out after the program and try to eat one of these sandwiches or these Cuban sandwiches, which is called a cubano, and that's what we're talking about today. And we were discussing this before the program began, and I believe, Stephen, you told me that there is a restaurant in Taipei somewhere where you can buy these sandwiches.
Yes.
But, if you live down in Taichung or Kaohsiung and you don't have a restaurant like that, you can probably easily find a recipe online. So that's what we're going to talk about today in our food unit. What's in a sandwich? The tasty story behind the cubano. Let's get to it. Let's read the entire contents right now. If you watched the 2014 movie Chef, you probably left the theater feeling pretty hungry. What was that tasty-looking sandwich the main character serves to eager customers across the U.S.? It's a Cuban sandwich, one of Florida's signature snacks. The basic components of a classic Cuban sandwich, also called a cubano, are almost always the same. Cheese, pickles, ham, and succulent roasted pork are stuffed inside a toasted Cuban loaf, together with a dollop of mustard. It's tangy, satisfying, and deliciously simple. Its history, however, is more complicated. It's believed that the earliest version of a Cuban sandwich was created by the Taíno, Cuba's native people. Originally, it was made with local ingredients like yucca and fish, but later the Spanish colonists swapped these for pork and Western bread. Though the Cuban sandwich was born in Cuba, it grew up in the U.S. During the mid-1800s, a cigar industry developed in parts of Florida, drawing in many workers from Italy, Spain, and of course, Cuba. While they were working in the cigar factories, they needed something filling, quick, and easy to eat. The Cuban sandwich became an established lunch for these workers, and European immigrants added ingredients like ham and pickles. Today, two Florida cities, Tampa and Miami, are in an intense debate over which one made the cubano what it is today. Tampa is home to the first bakery to create the sandwich's iconic bread, baked with palmetto leaves on top. Miami, meanwhile, claims that its enormous Cuban population made the sandwich go mainstream. The two may never settle their differences, but if there's one thing they can agree on, it's that nothing compares with the crunchy bite of a proper Cuban sandwich.
Okay, guys, let's talk about what's in a sandwich. Ooh, this is the tasty story behind the cubano, or the Cuban sandwich, as it's called in English. I haven't tasted one myself, but every time I see a picture of one, my mouth starts watering. It looks really good. So we're starting out by talking about a movie that came out back in 2014 called Chef. I did see it because I love anything about chefs and cooking in the kitchen, and I just think that's a lot of fun stuff. So this was a very popular movie. It got really good reviews. It was fun to watch. It's by Jon Favreau, who has written some other things. He's a fun actor. You'll recognize him if you look up a picture. That movie also had Robert Downey Jr., who I love, And who's that really cute girl? Let's see.
Sofia Vergara,
Sofia Vergara.
the woman from Colombia.
She's very pretty. And but she wasn't who I was talking about. I was talking about Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, her. That's
She's
right.
a little
I guess
younger.
they were both in that movie. I did see part of that on TV.
It's good.
I thought it was about a food truck, yeah.
Food truck,
yeah, okay. That's what I thought it was about, but I didn't really see much of it. But indeed, if you have seen this movie, which is called Chef, you probably left the theater feeling pretty hungry. After all, this movie was about food.
Yes.
And, well, you probably saw something there that they were serving. What was that tasty-looking sandwich the main character serves to eager customers across the U.S.? So sandwiches, of course, are quite popular here in Taiwan, and people are always looking for something that they haven't had before and something that's really tasty. So if you've seen this film, you probably saw that sandwich and thought, ooh, wow, that is a tasty-looking sandwich. And the main character in that movie is serving it to eager customers. If you're eager, you're really excited about doing something. You're waiting for something with great anticipation.
You sure are. And that's why you probably would have your mouth start watering. You're just either feeling hungry or you're smelling something that just is really yummy smelling. That sort of thing gets you excited to eat. It's a tasty looking sandwich. I bet it tastes even better than it looks. If you've got something that someone says is a signature product that you have or somebody's signature, it's just something that really represents you. For example, I could say when Michael Jackson performed, he would often wear just one glove on his hand. That was sort of Michael Jackson's signature. Nobody else would walk around with one glove on and one glove off because it's weird. But everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people have some sort of signature look, maybe some fashionable look they have. Or if you're in the food business, if you're a chef, you probably have your own signature dishes that people go to your restaurant just to eat because they're so good and they're unlike anybody else's.
Yeah, if you go to Danshui, I think their signature snack is the fish balls or the agay. I think that's a signature snack in Danshui. We also call those local specialties, okay? Special kinds of food that you can only get in those places and not in other places. But I think these sandwiches are available all over the U.S. But if you go to Miami or Tampa, you're supposed to try one, okay? Now, here in the next paragraph, we're going to talk exactly about what these sandwiches are. The basic components of a classic Cuban sandwich, also called a cubano, are almost always the same. So these are the basic ingredients, the basic components of this classic sandwich, which is called a cubano. That means anything from Cuba. Cuba in Spanish is called Cuba, but in English we say Cuba. So if you're talking about the sandwich from Cuba, you will say cubano using their pronunciation. And here are the basic ingredients: cheese, pickles, ham, and succulent roasted pork. They're all stuffed inside a toasted Cuban loaf, together with a dollop of mustard.
Yum. Now, the ones I've seen don't have ham on them, but they do have that roasted pork. I think the thing that's really special about the cubano for me is the type of bread that it's put on, but also the pork. It's roasted for a long, long time, and it's very tender, and it's got a lovely juice to it. It's wonderful. So you've got all of these things that they stuff. When we use that word stuff inside, just means there's so much of it, you know, there's not enough room almost. So you've got lots and lots inside that sandwich.
So those are some of the basic ingredients. We're also talking about succulent roasted pork. The word succulent here is a way to describe meat or other kinds of food, but here succulent means it's juicy, it's tender, and of course it's very, very tasty.
They'll also use this word to talk about different kinds of plants, especially plants that grow in the desert. In just a second, we're going to talk about the yucca plant. There's actually a plant called the yucca. it has succulent leaves on it. So even though it's a type of cactus, inside, if you cut open the leaf of a yucca, it's actually got a lot of moisture inside. So succulent, yeah. But here, of course, we're just referring to how tender and juicy the meat is. It's a really good part of the sandwich. A dollop of mustard. What's a dollop? It's kind of a funny word we use when we're just talking about a little bit of something that you put on, usually a piece of bread or some sort of cracker, a dollop of mayonnaise, a dollop of dressing, a dollop of mustard, just a little bit of something. And mustard is that yellow condiment that you'll often see people put on their sandwiches, especially if you go to a place like Subway. They have mustard that you can add. I love mustard.
Yeah, Dijon mustard, American mustard, etc., etc. There are different kinds. Sometimes here in Taiwan, of course, they refer to wasabi as mustard, but that's kind of confusing. I just call that wasabi, and I try to stay away from the word mustard, because if somebody says mustard, I think of something yellow, like, French's hot dog mustard, or Dijon or whatever. And that's just like a spoonful of mustard there. So you kind of spread it on and it becomes tangy, satisfying, and deliciously simple. Tangy, to me, kind of means it's a little sour and a little sweet at the same time. But it can also mean it's just very strong and maybe a little spicy.
Yeah, I think mustard's a good example of something being tangy. Sometimes barbecue sauces can be tangy. So it's kind of just a delicious bite if you get a hold of one of these Cuban sandwiches. We're going to take a quick break, guys. We're going to listen to our Chinese teacher, and then we're going to come back and talk about the history of this sandwich. Yes, it has a history.
Hello, my name is Shelby. 今天的文章要看古巴三明治。在标题的地方的 taste story， tasty 是好吃的或者是迷人的， tasty story 就呼应好吃的特质，而且也暗示它迷人的故事。我们看第一题，题目的上一句提到说五星主厨快餐车这部电影，接着呢他又问你说主角提供给热切的顾客那什么的三明治是什么东西，我们空格前的 that是当那么使用，是一种程度副词。有选项的暗示呢，空格要修饰 sandwich， 表示看起来好吃。动词 look 当作看起来的时候要用主动形式，所以要用一个形容词接 V-ing 的形态。看起来好吃就变成 tasty looking， 答案选 A。第二题，经典古巴三明治的基本什么几乎相同。空格后面的句子提到 cheese 起司 ham 火腿 pork 猪肉等，明显暗示这题的空格应该放古巴三明治的成分。选项 A agendas 议程， B destinies 命运， C components 零件成分， D pastimes 消遣娱乐。这题答案我们选 C components 成分。顺便注意一下，句子中的 classic 是经典的、典型的意思，与 classical 古典的意思不太一样。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, let's get back to our lesson. We talked about the Cubano, El Cubano, which is a sandwich from Cuba that's popular in Florida, but you can probably get it all over the US and Canada and probably in Europe as well. But now we're going to talk about the history of the Cubano. Its history, however, is more complicated. So basically the ingredients and the recipe for a Cubano are very simple. Okay, this sandwich is deliciously simple to make if you have those ingredients, but the history is more complicated. So simple, complicated, they are opposites. And it's believed that the earliest version of a Cuban sandwich was created by the Taíno, Cuba's native people.
That's right. We're saying here that the earliest version here is one of our vocabulary words. A version of something is a particular form of something that's different from certain versions in the past, or maybe it will be different from the versions in the future, too. We often have different versions of software, different versions of video games, different versions of papers that you write for class. The first draft would be your first version, a draft of your paper. And here we've got different types of Cuban sandwiches. They're all a little different from each other depending on who makes them and where they're made.
Right, so this might be the original version of the Cuban sandwich created by the Taíno, the native people of Cuba. Originally, at the beginning, it was made with local ingredients like yucca and fish, but later the Spanish colonists swapped these for pork and Western bread. So once upon a time in the past, Cuba was just sitting there all by itself, inhabited by native people, and it wasn't a colony of Spain yet, but then the Spanish came, and as you know, they pretty much colonized all of Central America and most of South America. So the Spanish came, and they brought slaves with them, and of course they colonized Cuba. Cuba became a colony of Spain, and later the U.S. fought Spain, and the U.S. actually possessed Cuba for a short time, but now Cuba, of course, is independent, and so that's when the sandwich came, when it was basically its own island there and not a colony yet.
Yeah, and as an island, our folks here will understand this because Taiwan's an island, you have access to a lot of fish. Right? So they used to make the sandwich with fish and yucca, which is a type of cactus. And yeah, you can actually eat types of cactus if you cut the leaves. You'll have to look that up online to see what I'm talking about. But then after the Spanish came, the Spanish probably brought some pigs, some hogs with them. And, once the Cubans had a taste of pork, they probably thought, ooh, this is pretty good stuff too. And they also started using Western bread. Now, when you swap something for something else, it's another word that just means exchange. So you can exchange one thing for another, trade one thing for another. I know I was using the word trade with one of my Taiwanese friends, and they went, what? We'll often just use trade. Hey, will you trade your hat for mine? Which just means we want to swap those hats or exchange hats. So you take what I have and I take what you have. So the colonists, once the native Taíno, the Cuban people there, had a taste of pork and Western bread, they started making their sandwiches with those ingredients as well.
Yep, the Spanish colonists thought, hey, well, this is tasty, yes, but we can make it better if we use our bread. We're used to that. We're Europeans, and we also like our pork. And so we've got more of a modern version of the Cubano now. Now, though the Cuban sandwich was born in Cuba, it grew up in the U.S. So that's where it started in Cuba, but then it later developed and improved and changed in actually the United States. Of course, as you know, there is a very large Cuban population in Florida.
Now, during the mid-1800s, there was a cigar industry that was developing in parts of Florida. And in that industry, they were drawing many workers from Italy, Spain, and of course, Cuba. So they had workers from these 3 different nations. And while they were working in the cigar factories, they needed something filling. If you're talking about a type of food that's filling, it just means once you eat it, you're not hungry for quite a while. I've noticed that when I eat rice dishes, I get hungry very quickly. But if I eat something that has a lot of fat in it, a lot of meat, I'm usually full longer. So filling just means it keeps you feeling satisfied longer. They also needed something quick and easy to eat. And that's when the Cuban sandwich became just kind of an established lunch for the workers. It was something that they grew accustomed to eating during lunch. So if something's established, just means it's something that's used quite frequently. It's not a surprise. It's not something new. It's just something that's been around a long time. So it's a custom. It could be a practice. So something that's been in existence for a long time is also established. So it became a very popular lunch for the workers. And the European immigrants, those that were coming over from Europe, coming to the States, they started adding different ingredients, and that's when ham and pickles became part of the sandwich.
Yep, so you've got lots of immigrants working in those cigar factories in Florida, making those Cuban cigars, so they added their own ingredients such as ham and pickles, which basically is a cucumber that's preserved in some kind of brine for a period of time, and then it becomes kind of sour and very tasty.
Or sweet.
Or sweet,
yeah.
Yes, indeed. I do like pickles.
Me too.
And today, two Florida cities, Tampa and Miami, are in an intense debate over which one made the Cubano what it is today. So they are in an intense debate. They're having a pretty strong debate, pretty fierce, pretty vocal. They're debating this. They're arguing, hey, no, we're the ones who made today's modern Cubano. No, it's us. No, it's us. So they're having this debate, this kind of argument. Yeah, is it Tampa or is it Miami?
Yeah, they both want to say that they're responsible for this delicious sandwich. Tampa is home to the first bakery, a place where bread is made, of course, to create the sandwich's iconic bread. So Tampa was the city that first came up with that particular bread that is used, just that crunchy exterior and soft interior. They would bake it with palmetto leaves on top. So that's interesting. I've never made bread with palmetto leaves.
I don't even know what that is.
Palmetto, to me, was kind of this orange thing. Palmetto? You've never had palmetto in a little jar?
Well, I might have, but I don't know what it's called,
Yeah.
I mean, I've eaten a lot of things that I don't know the name of.
Oh.
If I see it, I'll probably go, oh, yes, I've had that before. But right now, I can't think of what it is.
Oh, I'm going to look it up. I'm going to look for a picture for you.
Okay.
I just remember I didn't like palmetto. I can tell you that. And it seemed like it was kind of an orange color palmetto.
Not saffron, is it?
No.
Okay,
So,
but in any case,
yeah,
okay.
Palmetto leaves were actually put on top as they were baking the bread in Tampa.
So that's the Tampa version of this sandwich. Miami, meanwhile, at the same time, claims that its enormous Cuban population
Tom?
made the sandwich go mainstream.
Palmetto here just refers to palm trees. I thought they were talking about something else. Okay, palm trees. So palm leaves, we have lots of palm trees in Taiwan. I grew up with a ton of palm trees. I'm from Arizona, and California has a lot of them. So they would put those on top. Go ahead, Tom.
Okay, so indeed, that's what happened in Miami because, of course, you've got lots of Cubans there, and they made the sandwich go mainstream. They probably think, hey, we're Miami. We've got all the Cubans. Who are you in Tampa there? We're the ones who made this sandwich popular. It's mainstream. It's common food in American cooking, just like pizza, hot dogs, and hamburgers. So the two may never settle their differences. They'll never end their debate. But if there's one thing they can agree on, it's that nothing compares with the crunchy bite of a proper Cuban sandwich. So as you said earlier, if you want to have a baguette, you need to eat it really quickly or it becomes soft. You want it to be crunchy. And crunchy, of course, means it makes that kind of sound in your mouth when you take a bite of it.
Yeah, I'm also thinking if you got this delivered, say you ordered it with a food delivery service, sometimes those hot sandwiches have a lot of steam in them. So the bread sometimes becomes a little soggy, which means it's a little wet. So you might want to try this at a real restaurant. Go there directly, order it to get the best crunch out of the sandwich. Of course, Tom just said that crunch is that sound, crunchy. I love crunchy stuff. Yeah, or crispy. 脆脆的, as I always say when I go to get my 锅贴, I always want 脆脆的. Crunchy, crispy. You want that crunchy bite of a proper Cuban sandwich. We hope you get a chance to try it. You might want to try one. If you go to the States, try one in Miami and in Tampa. That's my advice.
Sounds good. It's even worth getting a plane ticket to go to those places just to have the sandwich. Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. Let's turn things over now to our Chinese teacher.
第三题 Its history blank is more complicated. Complicate 是复杂。上一段结束的时候说它是 deliciously simple, 简单可口，但是它的历史故事可就复杂多了。第三题前后都有逗号，表示是一种插入，而上下句的文意前后概念刚好相反。选项 A likewise 同样地， B however 然而， C moreover 而且， D therefore 因此。前面简单，后面复杂，文意相反，所以我们连接词就用 however， 因此答案选 B。第4题，前面说 It was made with local ingredients。Local 是当地的 ，ingredients 是成分，用当地食材制成。接着后来的殖民者将它们怎么样？猪肉和西式面包。But 是转折连接，暗示上下不同。前句当地食材，后句西方面包，可见食材内容有了变化。我们看选项 A blamed 归咎于 ，B swapped 交换 ，C apologized 道歉。D. Evaluated 评估。依照文意，答案选 B. Swapped 交换 Swap A for B 用 A 与 B 交换。第5题，雪茄叶发展在佛罗里达的部分地区。空格5，我们从选项中发现都是动词 draw 吸引的不同形态。句子逗号之后，它没有连接词，连接上下句，可以推测本句要考分词构句，省略相同的主词，划掉连接词，动词呢就用分词形态出现。Draw 吸引雪茄叶，它吸引各地的工人，有主动的意思，因此我们是用现在分词，答案选 D drawing。第6题 Two Florida cities, Tampa and Miami are in an blank debate over ... Debate 是辩论 In a debate 表示在辩论中 Over something 关于什么事情。Tampa 和 Miami 为了争谁发明 Cubano 而争执不已。现在呢，我们要放一个形容词来修饰这个 debate。选项 A clumsy 笨拙的， B fertile 肥沃的， C intense 激烈的， D moderate 中等的。选项 C intense 激烈的，用来形容 debate 表示真的很激烈，所以这题答案选 C intense。第7题 The two may never blank their differences. Two 就是指 Tampa 以及 Miami 这2个城市，这2个城市永远无法怎么样他们的旗舰。But 他们都同意说，没有什么比得上一口松脆的古巴三明治。这题答案我们要选 B settle 解决 Settle their differences 就是解决分歧，这是习惯用语。而其他选项 A punch 用拳猛击， C export 出口， D twist 扭曲都不合题意。以上是今天的讲解，谢谢收听。
That's all for today, everybody. Hopefully we have whetted your appetite not only for Cuban sandwiches, but also to learn more English. So yeah, please join us again next time for another edition of our program. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.